What about Sanford is a question that I'm often asked when people consider moving to the Orlando area. So today I'll be answering the question, is Sanford a good place to live? While I am a fan of Sanford, I will acknowledge some of Sanford's warts today. So stick around until the end as I try to give a more complete perspective of this suburb of Orlando. Let's start off with just where Sanford, Florida is. Sanford's about 30 minutes north of Orlando, 35 minutes east of Mount Dora, and 50 minutes southwest of Daytona Beach. Now, being up on the north side of Orlando, Sanford sits at the junction of I-4 and the 417 and the Wekiva Parkway, which is the north part of the beltway that surrounds Orlando. Sanford has around 63,000 people as I record this today and is located in Seminole County, Florida. It's important to note that Sanford is not the same city as it was, say, 25 years ago. I used to work near downtown and I'd drive down by the waterfront and, well, let's just say it wasn't the same city as it is today. There were plenty of shady-looking characters walking around. Most of the downtown buildings were vacant, they had broken windows, there was graffiti all over. There's a lot of trash laying around and I just tried to avoid this area whenever I could. Today, downtown Sanford is vibrant. Numerous restaurants, breweries, coffee shops, and all sorts of shopping options are available. I'll include links to a couple of videos to some of the best restaurants and coffee shops towards the end of this video. They've completely revitalized this place. They've given a facelift to the north side of town, the Riverwalk, which is now a great place to walk, run, cycle, or whatever, even just take a seat and look out across that lake. So what else is there to do here in Sanford other than, eat, drink, and shop? Well, Lake Monroe, which I spoke of a minute ago, is part of the St. Johns River, which runs from down in southeast Florida up through Sanford and dumps out up somewhere around Jacksonville. The St. Johns is great for fishing, water skiing, jet skiing, or just cruising. Sanford has a great zoo, they've got numerous parks, they've got a splash pad, historic Sanford Memorial Stadium where Jackie Robinson and Willie Mays played baseball. They got pickleball courts, farmers markets, dining cruises, all sorts of downtown events, and I could go on and on here. The point is that Sanford has a lot to do, as do the cities surrounding Sanford. Out west of Sanford is the Wekiva Parkway, and the Ocala National Forest is about an hour north of here. Of course, the beaches are close by too. I spoke of Daytona Beach before, but New Smyrna Beach, which is my favorite beach, is just 45 minutes over to the east. Now, you might think that this distance to the beach is undesirable, but if you consider that this distance is enough to slow down those hurricanes that come our way, you might rethink that. While it may be just 30 miles or so as a crow flies, it's enough dry land to take a good bit of the punch out of a hurricane. Before I get to the cost of living in Sanford, if you're finding value here, show your support for this small local channel by hitting the like and the subscribe buttons, and click that little notification bell if you'd like more content like this. Seminole County's sales tax is 7%, and the millage rate is really quite low, being lower than 40 of the 67 Florida counties. Taxes are on the rise here in Florida, but Florida still has no state income tax. As I record this today, Seminole County is just slightly above the national average for overall cost of living. Of course, if you live inside the city limits, the taxes may be higher than outside those city limits. In the last full month since this video's recording, the median sale price of a single-family residential home is around $375,000. Now that may seem like a lot of dough, but it's still slightly less than all of Sanford's neighbors in every direction, except for Lake Mary, which came in at $515,000, and Deltona up to the north at $315,000. Speaking of homes, Sanford has everything from these old rundown shacks to these beautiful restored historic homes. They've got zero lot line neighborhoods with homeowners associations. There's horse homes and estate homes too. It has nearly 23 square miles of land and 3.5 square miles of water, most of which is Lake Monroe and the St. Johns River. Sanford is an old town with an abundance of old homes, so termites are often an issue here. Bats are quite prevalent too, which is a cool thing until they start living in your attic. Also, we've got these little midges that can swarm around. It seems like they're worse down by the lakeside and only at certain times of the year. As a whole, there are plenty of jobs here in the Sanford area. Orlando is the biggest city in the area and likely the largest provider of nearby jobs. Of course, there's an abundance of jobs down south of Orlando at the Mouse and all the other area attractions. But Lake Mary, Sanford's neighbor to the southwest, has all sorts of tech, financial, and administrative type jobs. This entire area is loaded with all sorts of businesses, including the Seminole State College and the Orlando Sanford International Airport right here in Sanford. While my children are all grown up and don't attend public schools in Sanford, Seminole County Public Schools website says that they have an A rating and that they're the top-ranked school when compared to Central Florida districts, and 11th overall when compared to all of Florida's 67 districts. Again, I cannot speak to these personally, but these claims surely make them sound like very good schools. The weather in Sanford is pretty good in my eyes as a whole. The winters are very nice. In the winter, average temperatures run from the low 50s to the mid 80s, and humidity is not much of an issue. However, in the summer, say from June through September, when you wake up in the mornings, it's usually in the low 70s and the highs are in the mid to upper 90s. But it's not just the heat, it's often the humidity that makes it so miserable here. Yes, we've got the beaches and so many homeowners and complexes have swimming pools, but when I leave work and go out to fire up my truck, I'm often in a full-on sweat well before my AC kicks in. Before I get to some of those warts that I spoke of earlier, if you're thinking about moving to the Sanford area, or you're thinking about leaving and have real estate needs, either leave a comment below and I will get back to you, or just pick up the phone and give me a call. So I could preach all day on the benefits of Sanford, but I'm not a preacher and I'm not going to tell you that Sanford is all rainbows and unicorns, because it's not. Some areas of Sanford have very old homes. Yes, some of these homes, especially around the downtown district, are very nice, but let's just say that some areas of Sanford may not be so desirable. Some of these homes are dilapidated and not well cared for at all. I was in one just last week and I had bats in the fascia and bees living in it. There was literally a whole layer of dirt on the roof and had all sorts of green stuff growing out of it. It was not a good situation for sure. When I used to drive down through Sanford along 1792 at night, it seemed like there was always blue lights flashing somewhere. Panhandlers, yep, Sanford has plenty of them. Now, I won't speak on crime statistics here, but there are numerous websites that you can use to determine if Sanford is a good place to live for you. I noted earlier that Sanford was right at the junction of some highways, and this is a good thing. However, this seems to make it just easier for people to live here in Sanford and work, say, all the way down in Kissimmee. As such, traffic here can be a real issue. Well, I wouldn't say that it's as bad here as it is down in Orlando. I-4 still stacks up regularly, but getting around town during the morning or afternoon rush hours can be a real pain in the neck. So yes, I do believe that Sanford, Florida is a good place to live. Is it perfect? Well, heck no, it's not. But if I knew of somewhere that was perfect, I'd be buying that place up and surely wouldn't be telling anyone else about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.